Wondering, hey, where's your lamp? Well, my lamp just happened to sprout legs and walk away, and now all I'm left with is this shitty fluorescent light. Anyways, I saw it 2017, and it was pretty disappointing, and I thought they could have done much more with it, and they could have made it a lot better than it was. Um, Let me start at the beginning. When I was 15, I read the book. I only read the book once because it's 1,000 pages and it took me like 6 weeks to get through. So, yeah, I'm not planning on revisiting it anytime soon. But I loved the book at the time. I thought the character development in the book was fantastic. The Stephen King has a gift for writing children. Like, he can write down like the thoughts that are going on in a character's head, and like you believe it. Like, he has all the dialogue and like inner monologues of all the 10-year-old kids of the Losers Club, and it's like I remember thinking that way and thinking about those things when I was that age. Like, he captured that brilliantly. There is a lot more Pennywise in the book than there is in the movie or the miniseries. The and Pennywise is also scarier in the book. Uh, and my only big complaint with the novel is it's way too long. It's 1,000 pages, and I could say a good 300 of those pages could have been cut. Like, all the chapters that are like the black guy when he's 40 years old writing in his journal, that takes up a good 200 pages of the book. And honestly, I think almost all of that could have been cut. Like, besides like character backstory, it's not really contributing much. And like, there's some weird stuff too in the book. Like, I know this book was written in the 80s, and that was when Stephen King was all coked out all the time. Um, like, there's the scene where, like, after they defeat Pennywise for the first time, Bev, like, has sex with the other six boys, which was just weird. And even more weird is, like, the bullies, like Henry and his other gang of bullies, like, they, like, trap animals and like find it sexually arousing, and then they all like masturbate each other, and that scene is just even more weird. Like, why would you put that there? Like, it's entertaining to read, but there's no point in having that there. And so I watched the mini series. Actually, you know what? I think I watched the mini series first, and that's why I read the novel after. The mini series is fine. It's cheesy, early '90s stuff, but like, there's some genuinely creepy moments in it. Tim Curry as Pennywise is amazing. He's more funny than he is scary. He's like, there are scenes where he's creepy, but like, especially the part like in the second half where he's like, "Excuse me, sir, do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out. Waha, waha, waha. Excuse me, ma'am, is your refrigerator running? It is. Well, you better catch it before it gets away. Waha, waha, waha." Like, in those scenes, he's not scary, he's funny. Like, I would hire this clown if he wasn't a shape-shifting interdimensional demon who lives off the souls of children, well, not the souls, the physical bodies, and, you know, like, murders everything and scares you. And then we get to the movie. this movie has been in development hell for a long time. There was one person who was supposed to direct it, and then that got scrapped. Then another person came to direct it, and they're like, we're doing it this time. And I saw the first trailer, and it didn't wow me. I was just like, just looks this looks like it might be kind of promising, but it also looks like it might be really generic. Um, and then I saw on the IMDb like Q&A page before the movie came out, it had all these questions and answers like FAQ questions like is the movie based on the miniseries? No, it's a adaptation of the novel. And one of them was, uh, is the movie scary or something? And then part of the answer was, there's probably going to be a lot of jump scares. And that was a yellow flag to me. I thought, well, okay, like, if there's gonna be jump scares, like, fine, like, if they're done well, fine, but like as long as they're not overused and you're not totally relying on them, sure. And uh like when you take, like, I'm fine with the miniseries because it takes this 9 out of 10 source material and turned it into this 6 out of 10, like, 3 hour, 2 part TV miniseries. And, like, I'm fine with that. This movie was more a 5 or possibly even a 4 out of 10 for me, honestly. It just didn't do it for me, and that might just be because I have seen the miniseries, I have read the novel, so I know how much potential this idea has and how scary Pennywise can be. And like there's some interesting atmospheric stuff in there, but it's like 20 jump scares and none of them made me jump. Like, and you can see it coming because every modern, or at least every shitty modern horror movie, like, there's something like tension's building up and then all the music goes quiet for a couple seconds and then the character like looks around, blah, and like every single jump scare in this movie is predictable, or at least like 90% of them. I'm just like, there's gonna be a jump scare here. Yep. Like like the, like, let's compare the scene where the kids defeat Pennywise for the first time in the miniseries and in this new movie. So in the movie, they just like hit it with like pipes and baseball bats and stuff, and like the Pennywise just turns into all these like CGI abominations that just look terrible, and like it's just like an assault on the senses. It's like I'm watching like a Marvel movie or something. Um, and then you have the mini series where they confront Pennywise, and it's a lot more psychological. Where they're like, guys, we gotta all hold hands and make sure we're not separated because we're stronger together. Like that's a pretty clever visual metaphor there. Like, and when Pennywise like battles them psychologically, like the mummy, that Seth Green's character, I call him Seth Green because look at him, it's Seth Green. Like the hands of the mummy come over his shoulders and he's like, I'm not afraid of you. And I'm like, that is like actually effective to me. And in this movie, it's just like Pennywise is like battling them, and he's like looks at him, and his face like turns into the mummy or into the hobo. And by the way, the only like good special effect in this movie was like, or at least the one creature besides Pennywise that didn't look fake was the hobo. Um, and just, they just fucking jump scares. I hate modern jump scares because you can do jump scares well. Like, if you look at my IMDb profile, I just saw Mulholland Drive for the first time today. Like, if you look on my IMDb, like, it has all my recently rated, and like, it is the most recently rated, and Mulholland Drive is right before it. Like, Mulholland Drive has one of the most effective jump scares of all time. Like, at least for me personally, it affected me the most. And Mulholland Drive isn't even a horror movie, it's a drama. But it has one of the best jump scares I've ever seen. They're just like slowly creeping around this building, and then all of a sudden this guy just comes like that. No music sting, no blah! It's just like that, and it was freaky. Like, I saw it happen and I jumped in my seat. It comes across and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, that is how you do a jump scare. That is how it's done. In this movie, it's just look over, blah. Well, like, something happens, jump up, blah. And the audience I saw it with was loving it. So if you're a fan of shitty jump scares, go see this movie, because you're going to eat this shit up. And I've been saying nothing but bad things about this movie, and it's not completely devoid of good things. The biggest thing is the child actors. The child actors are all great. They're all believable. You believe they are their characters. They made Henry and the other bullies all like 16 years old, which I thought was kind of a weird choice, but when you think about it, it kind of makes sense because, like, while the miniseries is closer to the book in terms of story, the movie is closer to the book in terms of character. And in the book, Henry Bowers and the other bullies are like sadistic and like psychologically screwed up. Like, they will, like in the miniseries, it shows Henry as like a 12-year-old kid, like he was in the novel. But in this movie, like just like in the book, like, okay, I'm losing thought on what I'm trying to say. In the book, Henry carves an H into Ben's stomach because, like, he's a sadistic asshole. And in the miniseries, he's about to do it, but that's when Ben, like, kicks him and goes over the rail down the hill. But in the movie, Henry does carve the H into Ben's stomach. Battery died. Anyways, what was I talking about? Henry Bowers, right. Something I like that they did in this movie with Henry Bowers is they did try to make him as sadistic as they could. Like, there's a scene in the movie where Pennywise, no, not Pennywise, what am I talking about? Okay, there's a scene in the book where Henry sees his dad sleeping, and he like takes his knife and puts it up to his neck, and he contemplates killing him. I don't remember if he actually did kill him, but I remember I thought he didn't kill his dad. He was just like, oh man, I want to do it. But in the movie, he does actually do it. And also in the book, one of the kids who's in Henry's gang, he like smothers. This happened when he was 5 years old, apparently. He like smothered his 2-year-old brother and just like went back downstairs and kept playing. And like 2 hours later, his parents were like, oh my god, he's dead. And the kid's just like, I just committed murder and got away with it. And another aspect of the book that I didn't think or know was in the book that was in the movie was Bev's father was like attracted to her. I never got that impression in the book or in the miniseries. I always just got the impression that he was just like this alcoholic, drunk father who was just like protective of his daughter. I never got the impression that he was like attracted to her. And but like in this movie, he like caresses her head and like sniffs her like, and I'm just like, okay, this guy's, they're trying to make him out to be like a pedophile or something. And then during the final climactic battle, when Pennywise is taking on various shapes, the form he takes for Bev is her father's head, which she responds to shoving a metal pipe into his mouth, which, ha ha, symbolism. The metal rod going into Pennywise's mouth is symbolic of her father's rod going in Beverly's mouth. Ha 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 ha, I get it. But yeah, overall, this movie, it was disappointing for me. It wasn't as scary as it could have been. The acting and the characters are all good, but I just feel like they could have done more with them. And for such a character-driven novel, like, you need something like a mini series for something like this, because 2 movies isn't really enough, because even the mini series, which is like 3 hours long, cuts out a ton of stuff. But yeah, overall, I didn't think much of this movie. If you think you'll get something out of it, don't let my